Ecstasy for Real Madrid, agony for Barcelona, super knockout leads Mundo Deportivo's headlines. Meanwhile, sport goes with humiliated. Mario with me. So how can it have worked so well?
Irrelevant in a way.
Do you remember when we were talking about Araujo being one of the players?
Yeah, but it was in his own half, so it's irrelevant.
Right.
Because Rodrigo was in his own half, so he's not offside. So that's the first mistake, right? Because you're playing offside, you're squeezing up when a player is close to bending his run back into his own half. Now, unless you're 6 years old and you're learning the game, you know he can't be offside. The other thing is, and we see it a lot watching pretty much, for the most part, the big Premier League games, and the likes of Bayern Munich and others, when teams are playing, Aston Villa been key, Tottenham do it, City do it, Liverpool don't do it as much, but remember for a couple of years ago, they played this high line. But guess what? They tell their goalkeeper they were playing the high line, and he has to be a sweeper keeper, right? And Aki Peña, nobody told him.
Right.
Or, nobody told him, being sarcastic. You know, they're playing this amazingly high line, and he stood. No, I'm not suggesting he would have got there, but he stood in his penalty box. You can't do both. Yeah. You know, if you're going to play that really squeeze, your keeper, like the Alissons, the Edersons, the Emi Martinez, the Manuel Neuer, all these guys are ready. You see them all the time. They're ready to come out for that ball over the top. They had neither. They had the keeper in the box, and they sit the back four on the halfway line.
I just want to go to Mario Araujo, who, of course, was so good last year. And we were talking about, he's got Vinícius Júnior in his pocket. This is the right way to approach it. Xavi's done a good job man-marking or getting Vinícius Júnior out of the game. Why has that changed so much?
It's a psychological thing also. We talk about Vini. Vini is a great player, because that's why, you understand, we saw what he just did, and this is not something like he surprised us. It was something he just continuously keeps on doing. He uses his pace really well, because you have to have the timing right. But Araujo, he couldn't score against him, right? Because he was marking him really well. But the thing, when you play against a Real Madrid side and you have, a coach that is that smart, he knew, okay, they're going to play the high line. Xavi's game, when Xavi was playing for Barcelona, what were they playing? A very high line. So now his team is going to play a high line. What do you put up front? When you play against a Real Madrid side and you have Vinícius and Rodrigo up front, and you get a Bellingham to drop off in the middle to give them more stability in the middle to win the man. And then Barcelona, there were moments where they were trying to make the game and try to dictate the tempo of the game. You get Frankie de Jong dropping in at the back, trying to pick the ball up, and trying to find the gaps. But then when they lose the ball, there's only one thing Real Madrid was thinking about. How quick can we expose them? And they really exposed them. The whole defensive line, they all looked very slow. While compared to what they normally do, Koundé is not the slowest player. Araujo is not the slowest player. But the timing of their runs was so good and made them look very slow. And that was the thing, and I was surprised in them doing it.
The tactics from Xavi about this are completely and utterly wrong. It smacks of somebody who doesn't understand what it's like to play in the back line. Because forever and a day, you cannot try and hold a line, particularly up on the halfway line, when there's no pressure on the ball.
Right.
And when you're playing against a team like Real Madrid, pretty much every one of them, if you give them time and space, can deliver a ball into an area without any problem. And you stick that on top of you playing against Rodrigo and Vinny Júnior, who have got genuine pace, you are absolutely gambling. And that's all you're doing. It's a toss of a coin. Because you saw the line, the whole line's not in tune. Nobody's sure whether they're coming up or whether they're going back. Absolute disaster. It should be really simple, Dan. If there's no pressure on the ball, you cannot hold the line. You have to take a step.
Right.
That is not being a genius.
Because if there's more pressure, it's harder to find the pass.
If somebody's pressuring the ball, then you're good.
Right.
It's tactically.
So if it's so obvious to everyone watching, why isn't it obvious to him?
Well, that's the question. Why is it not?
But there's another factor to this. Let's peel it back a little bit. When Araujo did this amazing job on Vinícius Júnior last year at right back, which he did, pretty much, where was Vinícius Júnior playing?
Last year? Drifting in from the left, wasn't he? The same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. They had a guy called Karim Benzema through the middle, and Vinícius Júnior.
You were always going to give the wrong answer. That.
I know.
No, Vinícius Júnior was pretty much, not all the time, but was pretty much hugging the touchline.
Yeah.
So he's kind of what you'd call a traditional left winger.
Right.
Right? So guess what? Araujo went out, was man for man, did a job on him. Unless Xavi's been living under some stone somewhere, he might have realised that Karim Benzema's not there anymore, and Vinícius Júnior and Rodrigo or Joselu or whoever it is when they've played are playing more of a hybrid tucked-in role. So he's not finding himself on that left wing as much, and so therefore the whole reasoning in playing Araujo out there to negate that was a head scratcher from the start.
Right.
Because that's not the way that Real Madrid have played this year. Him and Rodrigo, Vinícius, when they've played well together, have played narrow with Bellingham coming through the middle because they don't have a natural striker. So you have to question why Ronald Araujo, who's arguably the quickest and strongest defender that Barcelona have got, hence why he played right back against them to stop him, was out there in the first place. And Jules Koundé, by the way, who's not been shy about voicing his opinion. Oh, I don't want to play right back. I want to play centre half. I want to play here. I want to play there. And he ain't played well.
No.
He has not played well at centre back. But the whole thing about playing Araujo out there to negate Vinícius Júnior, that was last year's movie. That's last year's movie. That's not the way Real Madrid have played this year. I don't think that sits well with the way Xavi set up either.
This is what Vinícius had to say about himself. He said, it makes me sad everyone wants to fight with me because they know it will be Vinny did this, Vinny did that. In the press, I try to stay calm and focus on doing as well as possible. It's not all about me. Of course, I'm no saint. Sometimes I talk too much, sometimes I dribble when I shouldn't, but I'm here to improve and to be a role model to kids. I want to improve. Mario?
Look, if you love football, you gotta like Vinny. Come on, guys. Come on. This is a guy that entertains people. When you're in the stadium, that's why you come to that stadium, to see the dribbles, the speed, how he takes people on, and the joy that he's doing it. Look, that he goes back to the bench, and have a little banter while they are going at him. Why would he not do that? The only thing for him, I hope that he doesn't get himself over the line, because sometimes he can take it a little bit too far. But from then on, if they're making signs to me, I'm making signs to them back. Why would I not do that? They're making signs. I won the game. You didn't win the game. So I'm going to do it back. Because next time, when he loses the game, they're going to go after him. And then people are going to say, he's saying something back. Yeah, but that's football, guys. It was his day yesterday. Next time, Barcelona will be talking.
Just scored the hat-trick.
Yeah.
I mean, you think back to the game at Montjuic, the first Clásico of the season in La Liga. He was awful. Moaned about the referees.
Yeah.
Just stopped playing, wanting fouls. His head was all over the place. Yesterday he sensed it. He was like, "Holy, look at how they're defending. I'm going to get." He was just on it yesterday. And so, to be fair, so was Rodrigo. The both of them were just on it. And
I like his answer though.
what?
The way he answers that. Well, he's not come out as being big-headed. He's come out and said, "Look,
I get carried away.
Yeah.
Aye. I mean, what's wrong with that? It's perfect.
And will that improve with age?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it'll improve because obviously people want to try and get physical with him, and when you get caught a couple of times, I mean, that's what Ancelotti will be talking about, because he doesn't want people going around kicking his players, and if they're winding defenders up, then they're going to get kicked, or somebody else gets it.
Hold on.
That's probably where he's coming from.
The Barcelona bench.
But the answer's great.
Yeah, the Barcelona bench were having a pop at him because Ronald Araujo had just lashed out at him.
Yeah, it just kicked him for the second yellow, yeah?
Second yellow, red card, right? And all right, you might argue he tried to play the ball, but it was a wild slash and he caught Vinícius Júnior in the Achilles, and it's a second yellow. They're giving him a bit of stick, which tells the whole story about Barcelona. They blamed everybody else during the game. To be fair to Xavi, after the game, he took responsibility, said, no, just not good enough, to be fair. But during the game, it was everybody else's fault. And they're giving him pelters on the bench, and he's went, look, 4-1, but he's not run over and like head-butted one of the coaches. So it's a what's the word? I don't know. Mountain and a molehill? Molehill and
A mountain out of a molehill.
Mountain out of a molehill.
I believe that's the expression. I believe.
Don't ask me.
A mountain out of a molehill. I knew I'd get
Things
it.
to get even worse for Barcelona this week. It's unlikely, but boy, if they lose in the Copa del Rey on Thursday, what a huge blow that could be to Xavi's future, considering they're away against Unionistas.